Welcome to Voyage Daily Tech, the most important news personalized for you every day, supported by Voyage.com.
After listening to today's news, you'll know first, NVIDIA CEO's bombshell statement suggests a depreciation bubble as the one-year chip cycle makes customers' 6-year server lifespans obsolete. We'll analyze why this accelerated upgrade cycle is a turning point and how it could affect the financial stability of the trillion-dollar AI data center build-out. Second, DBS Bank projects $768 million in AI-driven revenue this year, defying the 95% failure rate of corporate AI initiatives seen across the industry. Today, we'll take a closer look at its decade-long data strategy and its implications for how enterprises can achieve real returns on their AI investments. Third, Anthropic reports its Claude AI was used in a state-sponsored cyber espionage campaign, but security experts question if it's a real threat or marketing. In this episode, we'll break down this controversial claim and what it signals for the emerging AI security arms race and platform accountability. Fourth, Apple slashes its App Store fee to 15% for mini apps, a malicious compliance move that deepens developer lock-in to counter EU regulations. We'll explore how this strategic price cut could transform the app economy and test developer loyalty against mounting regulatory pressure from the Digital Markets Act. Fifth, America's largest home builder, D.R. Horton, deploys prophetic AI to analyze complex zoning laws in 30 seconds, creating a massive land acquisition advantage. This discussion will reveal how this speed disparity connects to a new AI arms race in real estate and what it means for smaller developers. The CEO of NVIDIA just said something that could terrify his biggest customers, who are collectively spending $1 trillion on AI data centers. A while back, we walked through Samsung's plan for an AI megafactory and the sheer power draw of 50,000 top-tier GPUs, roughly a small city's worth of electricity. That kind of scale is exactly why today's update matters. When the upgrade cycle speeds up, the math on these mega builds can break fast. So the thing is, tech giants like Microsoft and Google are telling investors their servers packed with expensive NVIDIA chips will be useful for up to 6 years. This lets them stretch out the massive costs and make their profits look better. Now, under standard accounting rules, known as GAAP, companies have a lot of flexibility in estimating an asset's useful life. There aren't specific guidelines for something as new and fast-moving as AI chips. This creates a potential depreciation bubble, where the value of this equipment on paper might be much higher than its actual value in the real world. We previously flagged this exact pressure point. When the spreadsheet assumptions lag the real upgrade cadence, paper profits can drift away from economic reality. What really brought this to a head was a statement straight from NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang. When talking about his own last generation chips, he said, when Blackwell starts shipping in volume, you couldn't give hoppers away. He then added there are not many circumstances where the older chips would still be fine. So are these older chips truly going to be worthless? Of course, it's a little more complex. What's actually happening is the birth of a GPU afterlife economy. While the most powerful chips are needed for training massive AI models, the slightly older ones, like the A100s and soon the hoppers, are perfect for less intensive tasks. They get downcycled for things like AI inference, the process of using a trained model to make a prediction. There's a robust secondary market where these used chips still sell for tens of thousands of dollars, so they don't become paperweights overnight, but their value for cutting-edge work drops off a cliff. That cliff is what turns headline-grabbing capital expenditure into potential write-downs if the payback window keeps compressing, something we warned about when we discussed the risk of overbuilt infrastructure. This isn't just talk. NVIDIA now releases new, more powerful chips every single year, not every 2. We've been watching that drumbeat build, the same momentum that helped propel NVIDIA to that $5 trillion market valuation we mentioned a while back. And it's the cadence that makes 6-year depreciation assumptions look increasingly fragile. You might be wondering, how does NVIDIA get away with it? The secret is a powerful software ecosystem called CUDA. It's the programming language developers have used for years to build AI applications on NVIDIA's hardware. This creates a powerful lock-in effect, making it very difficult and expensive for companies to switch to a competitor's chips. As long as everyone is building on CUDA, they're tied to buying NVIDIA's latest hardware to stay competitive. And even as we've talked about the push for sovereign AI and how giants like Google and Amazon are developing their own chips, CUDA raises the switching costs and slows that escape hatch. Famous short seller Michael Burry is now betting against the industry, suggesting companies are inflating their earnings by claiming these chips last 6 years when their real useful life is closer to 2 or 3. Even the buyers are getting nervous. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella admitted he's trying to space out his purchases, saying, "I didn't want to go get stuck with 4 or 5 years of depreciation on one generation. This fear is hitting the market hard." CoreWeave, a major AI infrastructure company, saw its stock plunge 57% from its high. Oracle shares have plummeted 34% from their record. And in a telling move, Amazon was forced to shorten the useful life estimate for some of its servers from 6 years down to 5, citing the increased pace of technology development. We previously said investor fatigue could kick in once sentiment shifted. This is the kind of repricing we meant. It's also the confirmation from inside the build-out we warned about. The architects themselves are adjusting assumptions to keep up with the hardware cycle, and that's a big deal. It's one of the first major public acknowledgements from a hyperscaler that the old math just doesn't work anymore. Remember, independent estimates we discussed projected more than $5 trillion would be spent on AI-optimized data centers by 2030. If useful lives fall while spending stays elevated, the gap between expected returns and reality widens, exactly the setup for painful write-downs. This all comes as NVIDIA's own data center revenue exploded from $15 billion to $115 billion in just over a year. And as we noted before, if the revenue at the very top of the stack doesn't materialize fast enough, credit risk can cascade down the chain from AI apps to clouds to the real estate behind these facilities, especially if depreciation accelerates and payback periods shorten. The AI gold rush is on, fueled by $1 trillion spending spree. But the very company selling the shovels is also accelerating the timeline for when they'll break, creating a massive financial time bomb where today's cutting-edge tech becomes tomorrow's expensive paperweight. While NVIDIA's breakneck speed is creating financial headaches for its customers, one bank in Southeast Asia is proving that a different kind of long-term tech strategy can yield massive profits. The CEO of DBS, Southeast Asia's largest bank, just went on the record with a statement that completely defies the AI doom and gloom. Her words, "It's not hope, it's now. It's already happening." This comes as a recent MIT report found a staggering 95% of publicly disclosed AI initiatives have failed to achieve any real returns. So what sets DBS apart? As we flagged a while back, that same MIT study found most of those failures happen because companies can't properly integrate AI into their existing workflows. But banks are different. They have two massive advantages: a treasure trove of proprietary customer data and a crystal clear focus on high impact problems like customer segmentation and automating routine tasks. That's certainly not what DBS Bank is seeing. The bank's CEO, Tan Su Shan, just announced an eye-popping projection. She expects AI adoption to deliver a revenue bump of more than 1 billion Singapore dollars this year. That's about $768 million US dollars. So what's the secret? Believe it or not, this isn't some new experiment. DBS has been building its AI capabilities for over a decade. That decade of work wasn't just about buying software. It was about building a rock-solid data foundation from the ground up, creating a centralized data system most companies only dream of. Because of this, DBS has slashed the time it takes to see value from an AI project from over a year down to just 2 or 3 months. They're not just using AI, they've built a factory for it. Right now, its billion-dollar return is powered by 370 distinct AI use cases and over 1,500 different models working across the entire business. From institutional finance to personal banking, the CEO says a snowballing effect of benefits is underway, even contributing to a recent surge in customer deposits compared to rivals. And it seems the tide is turning for other big players too. JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon revealed his bank is already breaking even on its roughly $2 billion annual investment in AI, calling the current returns just the tip of the iceberg. A while back, we also noted how JP Morgan's finance chief quietly told managers to avoid hiring as AI rolls out, and that when customers get the option, 94% choose to interact with AI agents. They're even training those agents to show sympathy. That's the kind of operational follow-through that helps turn big AI spends into real outcomes. The ultimate goal at DBS, however, is to transform generative AI into a trusted financial advisor for every single client, accessible right through the banking app. Continuing our last discussion on engineered empathy, this is where tone and trust get technical. Banks will try to make these advisors feel human empathetic, reassuring without crossing into manipulation. We warned that we're edging toward parasocial relationships with bots. Financial advice raises the stakes on that dynamic. Naturally, before a bank can delegate financial advice to an AI, there are huge regulatory and ethical hurdles to clear. Singapore's own monetary authority is already on top of this, establishing principles for fairness, ethics, accountability, and transparency, or FEAT. And as we cautioned a while back, code is moving into seats. Regulators specifically wanted humans to occupy. Engineered empathy pushes that boundary from oversight into emotion. The big unanswered question is, if an AI gives you bad advice and you lose money, who is liable? The bank, the software developer, you? This is a legal minefield that has to be navigated very, very carefully. And what about jobs? The CEO says they're not freezing hiring. Instead, the focus is on a massive reskilling effort. It's worth taking that with a grain of salt, though. While reskilling is the goal, the data from the broader industry tells a more complex story. A Wells Fargo analysis projected that AI could eliminate 200,000 banking jobs in the US alone. And we're already seeing it happen. Citigroup cut thousands of operations and tech staff through automation, and Goldman Sachs automated its entire IPO document processing function. So the reality might be a mix of both reskilling and, for some roles, replacement. While others debate the AI bubble, DBS is proving that for those who played the long game, the AI revolution is not a future promise. It's a profit engine that is already running at full speed, and as we've discussed, it's now colliding with questions of empathy, regulation, and work that will define what AI-powered banking really means. Speaking of I trust in regulation, the lines just got a lot blurrier. The makers of the AI chatbot Claude just dropped a bombshell, claiming to have caught Chinese state-sponsored hackers using their own technology to orchestrate a massive cyber espionage campaign. When a commercial AI like Claude is used in an attack, it creates a massive headache for investigators. It's what experts call the attribution problem. Using a public tool can give attackers a powerful layer of plausible deniability, making it incredibly difficult to prove who is really pulling the strings. Research has even shown it can be theoretically impossible to trace an attack back to a specific AI model, let alone the person who used it. This is a whole new frontier in cyber warfare. According to the AI firm Anthropic, the hackers didn't just use the AI, they tricked it. Posing as legitimate cybersecurity workers, they fed Claude a series of small, automated tasks that, when strung together, formed a highly sophisticated espionage operation. This tactic exploits something researchers are calling the guardrail paradox. AI safety systems are designed to stop harmful requests, but they struggle to understand a user's true intent. So when the technical commands for legitimate security research look identical to the commands for an attack, I can't tell the difference. The hackers essentially wore a digital lab coat to get past the AI security guard. Anthropic is calling it the first reported AI orchestrated cyber espionage campaign. The targets were not small time. We're talking about roughly 30 global organizations, including large tech companies, financial institutions, and even government agencies. However, if you zoom out, you'll see another layer of strategy at play because the cybersecurity world is not entirely convinced. One expert from the firm, Bitdefender, went on the record stating, Anthropic's report makes bold, speculative claims but doesn't supply verifiable threat intelligence evidence. And this points to a new trend where AI labs like Anthropic and OpenAI are publishing their own threat intelligence reports. Traditionally, this was the job of specialized cybersecurity firms. This move raises a huge question. Is this a responsible way to warn the public, or is it a competitive strategy to establish their platforms as both the source of the problem and the only solution? This situation presents a fascinating duality. Critics point out that in its own report, Anthropic argues that the solution to stopping AI attackers is to use AI defenders, specifically their own product. The company's proposed solution to the problem is more of its own technology. You have to understand there is an incredible amount of money at stake. We are in the middle of a new AI security arms race. The market for AI-driven cybersecurity is exploding, projected to jump from over $22 billion to more than $60 billion by 2028. So when a company reports a new AI threat and then presents its own AI product as the shield, it's not just a security announcement, it's a powerful sales pitch. Digging into the details, you find another interesting wrinkle. Anthropic itself admitted its chatbot made mistakes during the attack, fabricating fake login credentials and claiming to have extracted secret information that was actually publicly available. This detail undermines the idea of a fully autonomous cyber attack. The truth is, current AEs are not the all-powerful hackers we see in movies. Research shows they have major limitations, like losing session context or simply hallucinating facts. Human intervention is still absolutely essential for a real-world hack. It reveals a conflict at the heart of this story. The cybersecurity industry, like the AI business, is keen to say hackers are using this tech, which in turn boosts interest and sales in their own products. From one company's strategic security announcement, we now turn to another tech giant's major power play. Apple just announced it's cutting its notorious App Store fees in half. That's right, the commission is dropping from 30% down to 15% for some developers. But this is not a surrender, it's a strategic move, and it comes with a huge catch. This isn't Apple suddenly having a change of heart. Experts are calling it a form of malicious compliance. Apple is facing immense regulatory heat, especially from the European Union's Digital Markets Act, which is designed to break up big tech monopolies. So Apple is complying with the letter of the law, but in a way that actually tightens its grip. To get this discount, developers must enter a new program that requires them to integrate even deeper into Apple's world. They have to use Apple's own software for everything from purchase history to, most importantly, processing all in-app purchases. This presents a real dilemma for developers. By using Apple's specific tools to get the lower fee, they risk what's called vendor lock-in. It makes it much more difficult and expensive for them to create and maintain versions of their apps for other platforms like Android or the web, because they've built their app around Apple's proprietary systems. This all targets a booming new category called mini apps, those lightweight apps within an app, like the millions inside China's WeChat, or now being integrated into AI chatbots from companies like OpenAI. You see, Apple is playing both offense and defense here. On the defensive side, this is a preemptive strike against a super app like WeChat ever taking hold in the West. By incentivizing mini apps to use its own payment system, Apple is trying to absorb that threat. And on offense, it's a land grab for the next frontier. AI, with companies like OpenAI building their own app-like stores inside their chatbots, Apple is rushing to establish its payment system as the default before a competitor can. So Apple is under immense pressure. Regulators in Europe are using the Digital Markets Act to force the company to open up, and court decisions in the US are pushing to break its iron grip on how software is installed on an iPhone. Instead of just giving up control, Apple is changing the rules of the game. It's a direct challenge to developers, essentially saying, you can try to operate outside our system to avoid fees, or you can embed yourself deeper inside our ecosystem and we will make it financially worth your while. While it seems like a concession on the surface, it's actually a loyalty program designed to counteract a global regulatory assault. This isn't just a fee reduction, it's a calculated defense of Apple's walled garden. What we're seeing is the Apple tax becoming more fragmented. Instead of one fee for everyone, Apple is now salami slicing its commission structure with different rates for small businesses, news publishers, and now these mini apps. This raises serious questions about fairness for all the other developers who don't fit into one of these strategic categories. The company is fighting to keep developers in, not by building higher walls, but by offering golden handcuffs. While regulators demand Apple open its doors, the company is responding by making the inside of its fortress more attractive than ever. While Apple is busy reinforcing the walls of its digital garden, our final story is about using AI to tear down very real-world barriers in the housing market. The US is facing a deficit of roughly 4 million homes, and prices have shot up over 50% since the pandemic. Now, the nation's largest home builder is deploying a new secret weapon. DR Horton just announced it's partnering with an AI startup called Prophetic. The mission to cut through the single biggest obstacle to building new homes, the nightmare of acquiring land. For any potential piece of property, builders have to navigate a jungle of local zoning laws. The real challenge isn't just finding land. It's figuring out what you're legally allowed to times do, times with it. This is where the whole process grinds to a halt. In the States, Prophetic has analysed so far There are over 440,000 different ways to describe what you can or cannot build on a piece of dirt. It's a process that can take a team of experts hours or even days, but Prophetic's AI platform can do it in 30 seconds. So the platform inhales every single zoning manual from every city and county, instantly analysing minimum lot sizes, density rules, and setbacks. This isn't just a simple search. It's using advanced language models to interpret complex, often poorly written and non-standardized government documents. The real secret sauce is its ability to clean up and make sense of this messy data, something that would take a human team an eternity. It tells builders what they can build, where they can build, and how much they can build at a speed no human can match. But this isn't just about building homes faster, it's about gaining a decisive market advantage. The CEO of Prophetic, Oliver Alexander, went on the record with a statement that reveals the real endgame here. He said that when you can analyze development potential in 30 seconds instead of 3 hours, you gain a massive edge. His exact words lay out the entire strategy. If you have that much of an edge in your speed to decision, you effectively control your entire market, because before anyone else can decide, you've tied it up. This technology is creating what some are calling a new arms race in real estate. Experts at Morgan Stanley estimate that I could automate up to 37% of tasks in the industry. But the high cost of developing these tools means it's a race that smaller local developers may not be able to afford, potentially creating a market of tech-enabled giants versus everyone else. When we place that kind of speed alongside the current state of local government, the contradiction becomes clear. Think about it. You have an AI-powered developer moving at light speed, submitting perfectly optimized plans to a city hall that is often understaffed, and using analog systems. Some reports show that over half of local planning authorities struggle just to recruit planning officers. This raises a critical question. Could this pressure force overwhelm city halls to simply rubber stamp AI-optimized proposals, bypassing crucial community input? Furthermore, there's a risk of what some call algorithmic redlining, where the AI, programmed to find the most profitable opportunities, could inadvertently accelerate gentrification by prioritizing luxury developments over the affordable housing we so desperately need.
That's it for today on Voyage Daily Tech. Follow, share, and stay tuned for daily updates coming your way tomorrow.